Welcome to this explainer. Right now, in early May 2026, we are watching a massive, intricately choreographed diplomatic dance unfolding between the United States and China. If you've been following international relations, you know the atmosphere is always complex, but what we're seeing this week, it's on a whole different level. We're going to systematically unpack the exact moves being made on the ground right now, the specific people making them, and how these actions are deliberately setting the stage for a massive geopolitical showdown. So let's dive right in.
Here's our quick rundown for today. 1. The bipartisan delegation arrives. 2. Focusing on tech innovation. 3. Daines' deep China ties. And finally, 4. Paving the way for the summit.
Section 1. The bipartisan delegation arrives. U.S. senators touch down in Beijing and Shanghai.
Okay, so the big, immediate news hitting the wire this week is that a United States Senate delegation is literally on the ground in China right now. And they aren't just hanging out in the political bubble of Beijing, they are also spending significant time down in Shanghai, which is, of course, the economic powerhouse of the country. This is a brilliantly timed trip. It places key American lawmakers directly in China's major hubs on the absolute eve of a major leader summit. Make no mistake, this isn't a coincidence. It is highly deliberate positioning.
Now, take a look at who exactly is on this trip, because the makeup of this group is fascinating. It's a strictly bipartisan crew. We've got Senator Steve Daines, a Republican from Montana, leading the charge. But right there with him is Senator Maria Cantwell, the ranking Democrat on the Commerce Committee. Add in Republicans Mike Lee from Utah, Deb Fischer from Nebraska, and Jerry Moran from Kansas, and you have a seriously unified legislative front. By bringing together leading Republicans with a key Democrat focused heavily on commerce, Washington is sending a very clear message. When it comes to U.S. economic and technological interests in China, they are completely transcending party lines.
Moving to Section 2, focusing on tech innovation and the high stakes of U.S.-China economic competition. To really understand why these senators are over there, you just have to look at this massive figure, 40%. That is the combined chunk of the entire global economy controlled by just these two nations. I mean, wow, right? When you see that number, it instantly establishes the enormous stakes we're talking about. Any slight shift, any tiny policy tweak in the economic relationship between the US and China literally ripples across the entire globe. You simply cannot ignore a dynamic that accounts for nearly half of all global wealth.
And that massive economic reality drives their entire tactical focus on the ground. Senator Daines put out a written statement on Monday, and this quote really hits the nail on the head. He said, "To effectively compete with China, we need to understand China's innovation ecosystem. Engaging with China is crucial to maintaining American competitiveness globally." He explicitly pointed out that they are going to visit multiple technology enterprises while they're there. The focus is laser-targeted on domestic Chinese tech innovation. They aren't there for pleasantries or photo ops. They are there to observe, understand, and bring that crucial intelligence right back home.
Section 3. Daines' deep China ties. A unique perspective in the U.S. Senate.
To really get the dynamics of this delegation, you have to look closer at the guy leading it. Senator Daines has a surprisingly deep history here. At 63, he is one of the very few American lawmakers with actual boots-on-the-ground experience living and working in China. Back between 1991 and 1997, he was stationed in Guangzhou and Hong Kong, working for Procter & Gamble to help open their factories. He intimately understands the corporate reality of operating there. Fast forward to 2015, he enters the Senate and immediately leverages that background, starting up regular diplomatic visits. Just last year, in March 2025, he was over there meeting with top officials like Premier Li Qiang and Vice Premier He Lifeng. Now in 2026, having announced he won't seek re-election, he's making his 7th official visit. He's literally spending his final months in office leveraging decades of incredibly unique corporate and diplomatic experience.
And that brings us to Section 4, paving the way for the summit, connecting these micro moves to the macro event.
Now, let's zoom out a bit. While these senators are physically walking factory floors in Shanghai, parallel executive tracks are moving at warp speed back in Washington. Just look at this timeline of communications from a single day, last Thursday, April 30th. On the economic side of the House, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer had what Bessent described as a candid and comprehensive video call with Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng. And on that exact same day, over on the diplomatic side, Secretary of State Marco Rubio was on the line with China's top diplomat Wang Yi. The rhythm of these interactions across all levels of government is noticeably speeding up. It shows a highly coordinated, comprehensive execution across the entire U.S. executive branch.
But here is where it gets incredibly tangible. If the political calls aren't enough of a signal for you, aviation watchers and photographers tracking plane movement spotted something major late last week. Two massive United States Air Force C-17 heavy military transport planes touched down right at Beijing Capital International Airport. We are talking specific confirmed tail numbers here, 088204 and 055140. Now, when heavy U.S. military transport planes show up on a runway in Beijing, that is widely understood by observers as a clear, undeniable signal of advanced logistical deployment. They are literally flying in the equipment, the vehicles, and the infrastructure needed for a massive impending event.
Because, of course, all of this, the senators, the cabinet phone calls, the military cargo planes, is just the pregame. The main event? President Donald Trump is scheduled to visit Beijing to meet face-to-face with Chinese President Xi Jinping on May 14th and 15th. The Daines delegation is officially pulling back the curtain on this summit. So with this incredibly intricate setup already in motion, we have to ask the ultimate question. How will this highly choreographed preliminary maneuvering actually dictate the outcome when President Trump and Xi Jinping finally sit down at the table next week? It is a question that 40% of the global economy is currently waiting to have answered. Thank you so much for joining this explainer. Keep your eyes on the news and keep asking the right questions.